The Magic Duck. One day, a farmer found an injured duck in his field. He took the duck home, treated its wounds, and cared for it. He fed the duck and gave it water to drink. The next day, to his surprise, the duck laid a golden egg. The farmer was overjoyed. He took the egg to the market and sold it for a large sum of money. Seeing how much money he could make, he thought, if this duck lays a golden egg every day, I'll become rich very quickly. But soon, a greedy idea crept into his mind. If I could get all the golden eggs inside the duck at once, I'd become instantly wealthy. The next day, the farmer took a large knife and cut open the duck's stomach, killing it in the process. But to his dismay, there were no golden eggs inside. He was filled with sorrow and regret. From that day on, he never received another golden egg. He realized his mistake too late. Moral of the story: excessive greed leads to ruin. The Magical Bell. Many years ago, in a beautiful village, there lived a smart and kind-hearted boy named Robert. He was always friendly and ready to help others. Outside the village, under an ancient banyan tree, a mysterious bell was hidden, known as the Magical Bell. It was believed that whoever rang the bell with a pure heart and true desires would have all their wishes fulfilled. Robert had heard about this bell from the villagers. However, reaching it was not easy. It required crossing a difficult and rocky path. Many had tried, but the magical bell remained a secret. One day, Robert decided that he would find the bell. With courage and determination, he overcame all the obstacles and finally reached the banyan tree. He rang the bell, and to his surprise, a bright light flashed, followed by a gentle voice saying, "Because of your pure heart, your wishes will be granted. But your wish must benefit others as well." Robert thought carefully and said, "I wish for my village to have plenty of water, food, and prosperity." The bell worked its magic, and soon the village flourished like a paradise. Morale of the story: selflessness brings true success, and efforts made with a pure heart always lead to great achievements.
The Honest Woodcutter. Once upon a time, there lived a woodcutter in a small village. One afternoon, he went to a large tree by the riverside to chop wood. As he was working, his axe accidentally slipped from his hands and fell into the river. The woodcutter was devastated. He sat down near the riverbank and began to cry bitterly. Hearing his cries, the river goddess appeared before him. Gently, she asked, "Why are you crying, my child?" The woodcutter explained that his axe had fallen into the river and that he needed it to earn his livelihood. The goddess disappeared for a moment and returned from the river, holding a golden axe. She showed it to the woodcutter and asked, "Is this your axe?" The woodcutter humbly replied, "No, mother, that is not my axe." The goddess vanished again and reappeared with a silver axe. Once more, she asked, "Is this your axe?" The woodcutter shook his head and said, "No, that is not mine either." Finally, the goddess brought out an iron axe. The woodcutter's face lit up, and he said joyfully, "Yes, that is my axe, mother." Impressed by his honesty, the goddess rewarded him by giving him all three axes: the gold, the silver, and his original iron one. Moral of the story: honesty is always rewarded. The Faithful Mongoose. A farmer and his wife had a pet mongoose. One day, they told the mongoose, "We are leaving our baby in your care. Please look after and protect the child." The mongoose replied, "Don't worry, sir. I will guard the baby." After the couple left, a snake quietly slithered into the house and approached the cradle, intending to attack the baby. The alert mongoose saw this and leapt at the snake, fighting fiercely and eventually killing it. When the farmer and his wife returned home, they saw blood on the mongoose's mouth. Horrified, the wife screamed, "You killed my baby." Without a second thought, she picked up an axe and struck the mongoose, killing it. But when she rushed to the cradle, she found the baby safe and sound. And lying nearby was the lifeless snake. Only then did she realize what had truly happened. Overwhelmed with regret and guilt, she broke down in tears. Moral of the story: think before you act.
The Rabbit and the Moon. Long ago, in a quiet forest, lived a kind rabbit with his friends. A monkey, an otter, and a jackal. They lived happily, sharing what they had with anyone in need. One day, the rabbit spoke to his friends. "Tomorrow is a holy day. We must be generous and share our food with anyone who asks. I'll gather sweet fruits for anyone who is hungry." "Component placement," said the monkey. "I'll catch fresh fish from the river." "Zrania," Otter said excitedly. The jackal said, "I'll find some food and store it safely." Each friend went off to prepare for the day. But the rabbit grew worried. "I eat only grass. If someone comes, how will I share grass with them? It would not satisfy them." The next day, Saka, the king of the gods, decided to test the animal's kindness. He came to the forest disguised as an old man, weak and hungry. "Kind friends, please help me. I have no food and no strength." The monkey offered sweet fruits. The otter brought fish. The jackal too shared his food. But the rabbit had only grass. "Dear old man, I have no food fit for you. But if you are truly hungry, I offer myself. Please make a fire and I will jump into it, so you may eat." The rabbit, without hesitation, leapt toward the fire. But Saka stopped him and revealed his true form. "Brave rabbit, your kindness and selflessness are greater than anything I have ever seen. You shall live forever in the sky." And so, Saka drew the shape of the rabbit on the moon for all to see, a reminder of the rabbit's pure heart and compassion. Even today, if you look at the full moon, you can see the shape of the rabbit, a symbol of selfless giving.
The Cracked Pot. In a village there once lived a gardener who had 2 pots. One of those pots was cracked. Every day the gardener would carry both pots to the well, fill them with water, and bring the water back to his garden. The cracked pot always felt bad. It thought, "Because of me, my master doesn't get all the water. Water is wasted because I'm broken." One day the pot said to the gardener, "Master, please forgive me. I'm causing you trouble because you can't bring back a full pot of water." The gardener felt compassion and said, "Oh, just because you're cracked doesn't mean you're useless. Come, let me show you something." Every day while coming back home, the water that leaked from you helped grow a beautiful garden along the path. Because you're cracked, not just my garden, but others too have benefited. Hearing this, the pot felt better, and from that day onwards, it started thinking positively about itself. Moral of the story: instead of focusing on people's flaws, we should look at their good qualities.
The Lion and the Mouse. One afternoon, a lion was sleeping under the shade of a tree. A mouse lived in that tree and came out to play. While playing, the mouse accidentally jumped onto the lion's body. The lion woke up and caught the mouse in his paw. Terrified, the mouse pleaded, "Forgive me. I disturbed your sleep by mistake. If you let me go today, I promise to repay your kindness one day." Hearing this, the lion burst into laughter and said, "That's a very amusing thought, little one." However, feeling pity for the tiny creature, the lion let him go. Days passed. One day the mouse heard the lion's roar. He saw that the lion was trapped in a hunter's net. The mouse ran up to him and said, "O king, don't worry. I will free you from this trap right away." With his sharp teeth, the mouse gnawed through the net and freed the lion. The lion thanked the tiny mouse and returned to his cave. Moral of the story: never underestimate the power of the small. Two silly goats. In a village, there lived two silly goats. One was black in color, the other was brown. One day, both goats came face to face on a narrow bridge. Since the bridge was so narrow, only one animal could cross at a time. They met right in the middle of the bridge over a stream. The brown goat said to the black goat, "Hey you, get off my path." The black goat replied, "Step back quietly, or I'll throw you into the water." They began threatening each other. Both goats charged at each other. They started to lose their balance. Realizing this, the black goat quickly sat down on the bridge and said, "Walk over me and cross the bridge." This way, they would both get across safely without falling into the stream. The brown goat agreed and walked carefully over the black goat. Then the black goat stood up and crossed the bridge too. In this way, both goats managed to cross the bridge safely. Moral of the story: arguing and fighting is not the solution to any issue. Three fish. Once upon a time, three fish lived in a pond. The first fish was very clever. The second one knew how to find a way out of trouble. And the third fish didn't like change at all. One day, the first fish overheard a conversation between some fishermen. "We'll come to this pond tomorrow to catch fish," they said. "We've heard there are many delicious fish here." Hearing this, the first fish got scared and warned his friends, "Let's leave the pond quickly." The second fish said, "I'll stay here. If I get caught, I'll figure a way out." The third fish said, "I don't want to leave. I'll stay here. If I get caught, so be it." So, the first fish swam away from the pond. The next day, the fisherman came and caught the two remaining fish. The second fish pretended to be dead. When the fishermen weren't paying attention, he jumped back into the water and escaped. The third fish did nothing, and so he died. Moral of the story: one must always be ready to accept change and adapt accordingly. The Thirsty Crow. It was a scorching summer day. A crow felt extremely thirsty, and his throat was dry. He searched for water but couldn't find even a drop anywhere. Finally, he spotted a pot. He perched on it and peered inside. There was water at the bottom, but it was too deep for his beak to reach. He looked around and noticed some stones nearby. An idea struck him. The crow began dropping the stones into the pot one by one. Gradually, the water rose to the top. The crow quenched his thirst and flew away happily. Moral of the story: where there is a will, there is a way. An ugly duckling. It was summer. The mother duck had laid 7 eggs in her nest. Suddenly, she noticed that one of the eggs looked different. She became worried about it. After a few days, all the eggs hatched and ducklings came out. However, the different-looking egg didn't hatch right away. After a little while, there was a cracking sound, and a chick came out of that egg. But this chick wasn't yellow like the others, and even its voice was different. The other ducklings started laughing at it. The mother duck was concerned and took the chick close to her. The chick was sad, and one day, without telling anyone, it left home. It swam far away. By the river, it saw some chicks that looked like it. It became very happy and went near them. They were not ducks, but swans. And it realized that it too was not a duck, but a swan. The mother swan took the chick close and cared for it lovingly. In this way, they all lived together happily. The greedy fox. One day, a little girl was eating a piece of bread. Suddenly, a crow swooped down and snatched the bread from her hand, flying away with it. The crow then perched on a tree branch. A fox saw this and started drooling at the sight of the bread. The fox approached the tree and said to the crow, "You look so beautiful, and I'm sure your voice must be as sweet as your appearance. Can you sing a song for me?" The foolish crow thought, "Am I really that beautiful? And do I have a sweet voice too? Let me sing a song." The crow opened its beak to sing, and the piece of bread fell to the ground. The fox immediately picked it up and ran away. Moral of the story: never trust the sweet words of a selfish person. The blue fox. Once upon a time, a fox went to a city in search of food. While he was searching, some dogs began chasing him. Scared, the fox ran to save himself and entered a house where he found drums filled with colors. In an attempt to hide, the fox jumped into one of the drums. That drum was filled with blue color, and so the fox turned blue. When the fox returned to the forest, no one recognized him. Taking advantage of this, the fox said, "I have been sent by God to protect this forest." All the animals believed him and made him the king of the forest. The lion and the elephant became his guards, and all the animals served him, bringing him food daily. One night, some other foxes began howling in the forest. Unable to resist his nature, the blue fox also howled along with them. Hearing this, the other animals realized he was just an ordinary fox. Angry, the lion pounced on him, and all the animals drove him out of the forest. Moral of the story: a person's true nature always remains unchanged. The flying turtle. One day, a turtle and his two swan friends were sitting sadly by a dried-up lake. Worried about the lack of water, they began to think about what they could do. The turtle suggested, "Why don't you both fly and search for a place that still has water?" Taking his advice, the swans flew far and wide. Eventually, in a village across the hills, they discovered a large, beautiful lake filled with water. Overjoyed, they returned to tell their turtle friend the good news. The turtle was happy but also troubled. "How will I ever reach that place? I can't fly, and it will take me forever to crawl there," he said. After thinking for a while, the turtle came up with an idea. He asked the swans to hold the two ends of a stick in their beaks, while he would bite down on the middle and hang on. They could then fly him to the new lake. The swans agreed but warned him, "Turtle, you have a habit of talking a lot. If you open your mouth while we're flying, you'll fall. Do you really think you can keep quiet the whole way?" The turtle replied confidently, "I'm wise enough to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Don't worry." So, they began their journey. As they flew over a village, the people below were amazed. They had never seen such a sight, and began praising the cleverness and friendship of the three animals. The turtle couldn't hear what the villagers were saying and, curious, opened his mouth to ask, "What are they saying?" But the moment he opened his mouth, he lost his grip on the stick. He plummeted to the ground and tragically died on the spot. Moral of the story: overconfidence and ignoring wise advice can lead to great harm. The Rose and the Cactus. In a desert, there once lived a rose and a cactus. The rose used to speak rudely to the cactus and insult it constantly. "I am so beautiful, and you are so thorny," she would say. But the cactus always remained silent. One summer, there was a severe water shortage. The rose couldn't get any water. Its petals slowly dried up and began to fall. But the cactus didn't need much water to survive. It had the ability to store water. It had stored a lot of water during the previous rains. Many sparrows benefited from it. In the scorching heat, the cactus's stored water became very important. The rose said to the cactus, "Please forgive me. I insulted you. I am dying. Will you help me by giving me a little water?" The cactus, being kind-hearted, replied, "All right, dear rose. Here, take some water." Moral of the story: never judge anyone by their appearance. The Elephant and the Ant. In a dense forest, there lived a big elephant. He was very arrogant and often troubled other animals by showing off his size and strength. He always took pride in his greatness. One day, while drinking water by the riverside, the elephant noticed a tiny ant walking towards her home. The elephant laughed loudly and said, "Oh, little ant, you are so small. I can crush you under my feet." The ant remained calm, but she was fearless and intelligent. She smiled and replied, "Brother elephant, having a big body is not important. Having a big heart is what truly matters." The elephant laughed at her words and walked away into the jungle. A few days later, while playing near the river, the elephant got stuck in the mud. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't free himself. Helpless, he started calling for help. Hearing his cries, the same tiny ant arrived with her family. Together, they dug small holes around the mud, which helped the elephant get out. The elephant's arrogance disappeared, and with gratitude, he said, "Dear ant, I laughed at you before, but today you have saved my life. Thank you." The ant replied, "No need to thank me. Whether big or small, helping each other is what truly matters. That is the essence of kindness. Moral of the story: never insult anyone based on their size. No matter how small, everyone is important and valuable. The greedy dog. One day, a dog found a bone. He pulled it out and took it to a corner to enjoy it. After licking the bone for some time, he grew tired and fell asleep. Later, he woke up feeling thirsty. With the bone still in his mouth, he headed towards a river to drink water. When he reached the river and looked into the water, he saw his own reflection. However, the dog thought it was another dog holding a bone. Greedy for the other bone as well, he decided to bark at the dog in the water. As he opened his mouth to bark, the bone in his mouth fell into the river and was lost. His greed cost him the bone he already had. Moral of the story: greed leads to loss. The grasshopper and the ants. It was summer. The atmosphere was pleasant, and the fields were filled with a bountiful harvest. During this time, a grasshopper was enjoying himself, eating to his heart's content and singing songs. Meanwhile, his friends, the ants, were busy gathering food. Curious, the grasshopper asked one of the ant friends, "Where are you going with so much food?" The ant replied, "My friend, we are preparing for the rainy season and storing food." Hearing this, the grasshopper laughed, mocking their effort. The ant, seeing this, quietly walked away. Seasons changed, and soon the rain began. The sunshine disappeared, and there was a shortage of food. The grasshopper struggled to find anything to eat and was on the verge of starvation. Desperate, he knocked on the ant's door. He said, "Can you give me something to eat?" The ant replied, "All summer long, you sang songs and laughed at us. Now, you come asking for food?" The grasshopper apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." The ant, feeling compassion, said, "It's okay, you are my friend. For the sake of our friendship, I will invite you to my home to share a meal." Moral of the story: today's savings are tomorrow's necessities. The ant and the pigeon. One day, an ant was walking along the riverbank when it suddenly slipped and fell into the water. Struggling in the river, the ant found a floating leaf and climbed onto it. The leaf began drifting towards a waterfall. The ant grew scared and cried for help, shouting, "Save me! Someone, please save me!" A pigeon, seeing the ant in trouble, flew down to help. The pigeon picked up the leaf gently with its beak and placed it safely on the grass. The ant thanked the pigeon, saying, "Thank you, friend. You saved my life. I will surely help you one day in return." The pigeon bade goodbye and flew towards the forest. Days passed. One day, a hunter aimed his weapon at the pigeon. The ant, witnessing this, quickly ran towards the hunter and bit his leg hard. The hunter screamed in pain and lost his aim. The pigeon's life was saved. It thanked the ant and flew away. Moral of the story: no one is too small or too big to help others. The fox and the monkey. Peanut was a clever monkey. One day, he bought berries from a fox who sold berries. The fox gave him fewer berries than the actual weight. Peanut noticed this and asked, "Why did you give me fewer berries?" The berry seller slyly replied, "So it's easier for you to carry." Peanut quickly handed over some coins and started to leave. The seller counted the money. It was less. He called Peanut back and said, "You gave me less money." Peanut smartly replied, "Oh dear, Mr. Fox, that's to make it easier for you to count." Morale of the story: one should be witty and quick in their dealings. The Fox and the Crane. A fox and a crane were friends. One day, the fox invited the crane to his home for some soup. He served the soup in a shallow plate and said, "Let's start drinking the soup." Saying this, the fox quickly licked up the soup and finished it. However, the crane could not drink the soup because its long beak made it difficult to eat from the shallow plate, so he had to go hungry. A few days later, the crane invited the fox to his home for some soup. He prepared hot and delicious soup and served it in a narrow-mouthed jar. The crane said, "Let's start drinking the soup." He inserted his long beak into the jar and drank the soup with ease. However, the fox could not drink the soup at all, as the jar's narrow mouth prevented his face from fitting inside. The fox then realized that the crane had played a prank on him in return for what he had done. Feeling sorry, the fox apologized for his behavior. Morale of the story: tit for tat. The Fox and the Goat. One day, a fox was traveling through the forest. He became very thirsty, so he started looking for water. After walking a little distance, he saw a well. He bent down to drink water from it, but unfortunately, he slipped and fell in. Since the well was deep, he couldn't climb back out. Just then, a goat came there to drink water. She saw the fox in the well. "Hey, Mr. Fox, how is the water in the well?" the goat asked. The fox replied, "Sister, the water is very sweet. Come down and try it for yourself." The poor goat, believing the sly fox, climbed down into the well and got stuck too. The fox then said, "Let me climb on your back and get out first. Then I'll pull you out too." The goat agreed. The fox climbed out with her help and ran away. The goat called after him, but the fox had already escaped. Moral of the story: acting in haste leads to trouble. The Hare and the Tortoise. The hare always laughed at the tortoise because the tortoise moved slowly. One day, the hare challenged the tortoise to a race. The race began. The hare ran fast and got far ahead, while the tortoise continued to walk slowly. When the hare reached near the finish line, he looked back and couldn't see the tortoise anywhere. The hare thought, "The tortoise won't reach here anytime soon. Let me rest for a while." Saying this, he sat under a tree and soon fell asleep. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept moving steadily at its own pace. When the hare woke up, he was shocked to see that the tortoise had already crossed the finish line. The tortoise had won, and the hare had lost the race. Moral of the story: Slow and steady wins the race. King Midas and the Gold. In a faraway land, there lived a king named Midas. He had immense wealth. Although everyone in his kingdom lived happily, he was always unhappy. He constantly wished for more. One day, God appeared in King Midas's garden and asked him, "Why are you so unhappy?" With folded hands, Midas replied, "I love gold very much. I wish everything around me would turn into gold." God said, "I will grant your wish immediately. Whatever you touch will turn into gold. So be it." King Midas touched his rose plant, and the rose instantly turned into gold. Seeing this, the king was overjoyed and turned the entire garden into gold. After some time, it was time for his meal. He sat down to eat. When he touched a piece of bread to break it, it turned into gold. All the food in his plate turned into gold. He became angry and frustrated because he couldn't eat anything. Seeing his state, his daughter came to hug him. As soon as Midas touched her, she too turned into gold. Midas began to cry loudly. "What have I done? How greedy have I become?" Suddenly, the god appeared again and asked, "O king, why are you crying? You are surrounded by gold. You should be very happy. Your wish has been fulfilled." King Midas fell at the god's feet and pleaded, "I don't want gold. I had become greedy. My daughter is my true treasure. Please take back this boon and bring my daughter back to life." God said, "So be it," and everything returned to how it was before. King Midas hugged his daughter and thanked the god. Morale of the story: one should not be excessively greedy.